This is a walkthrough video for the 2022 Forest River Sunseeker 2860 DS. The front tires should be filled to 75 psi and 80 in the rear. Have the first blinker activated side camera there. The propane tank, it does have the fill level on it. It holds about 38 liters, and a propane technician will fill it up at the yellow cap at a propane fill station for vehicles. This is the open valve here. You can just over a full rotation should be enough to get the propane supply. Beside it is just an extra storage compartment there, and the lock for the door. So the deadbolt is the safest one to use whenever possible. The keys for the door are the black oval key. So there are two sets of these keys, and the black oval key works for both locks in the entry door. The CH751 keys are for the storage compartments. The flat side of the key goes on the bubble side of the lock. The small gray key here is for the little safe that's in the step. The Ford ignition key, and then the lock, unlock, and panic buttons for the cab. So just inside the entry door, you have the Safe Ride roadside assistance phone number there if you need any help along the road. We have a furnace duct here. The two red light switches are for the outside lights. So you have the patio light at the entry door and the awning strip lighting that runs across. The awning extend and retract button is there. So you just hold the extend button until you see the aluminum tube roll on the end. Have a ton of room in here. There is a yellow sticker on the awning that says pull down to adjust pitch. So you hold it down, pull the awning down from there. It's a hydraulic arm, and you can tilt it down for rain. You can put the arm back up before you put the awning in. It will help so that the canvas doesn't get wrinkled, or you can just leave it that way. Okay, and if you happen to notice the fabric has rolled in the opposite way, just press the buttons in the opposite direction and the fabric will sort itself out. This is a 12-volt motion light, another furnace duct. You have the solar panel controller here. Basically, you can check on the status of the batteries and if it's trying to charge from the sun. And the leveling jack system. So this leveling jack system has to have the parking brake on and the key out of the ignition. So you will do power, and you can press auto level if you're parked in an ideal location. If you wanted to use manual mode, you can operate the jacks down in pairs. So you will press the front button until they touch, rear until they touch, and then the down arrows. And then you can adjust individually by pressing a combination of two buttons. So you press front, right, etc. When you want to bring the jacks back up, press all retract, and they will come up. When you're using the jacks, you just want to make sure you don't have any power cords underneath or anything that the jacks would land on or sear. If you use auto level and it lifts the tire up off the ground, you want to retract the jacks and put them down in manual. The idea of the jacks is for stability, not for 100% level inside the coach. And the other thing is that the slide outs require the engine to be running or the key ignition to operate them. So once you have your parked, you put your jacks down, and then you put your slides out. The jacks will beep or alarm when the slides are going out because the key is in the ignition. So they don't want you to drive away with the jacks down. Okay. So this is the furnace exhaust here. Just a couple outlets. And the dualies. You have a valve extender for the inside tire. The Firestone airbag suspension is the little cap here. So we fill them up to 80 psi. That's great for smooth roads like our 400 series highways here. If they're going to be stiff, bumpy roads, you want to have them more like 30-40 psi. So there's airbags on both sides of the unit. They're about 6 inches high, so they fill really quickly and deplete very quickly. So if you test them and you hear air come out, they've likely gone down pretty they could go down pretty far. So underneath here, so that's part of the galley sink, the outside kitchen sink there. This is covering up the black and gray tanks that run across the width of the unit. And just inside this little compartment here, reach, the water filter is inside there, or goes inside there. It's currently filled up with antifreeze. And the white hose is a siphon for an antifreeze jug so that you can pump antifreeze throughout the unit. Because the water pump's back in the top corner. The blue line there has a little silver valve on it. It's a little bit dark, but you can see there. So that is it's the low point drain to empty out your fresh water tank. So if you turn it, it will just let water go straight outside. You can see underneath here, the blue line. That way, it lets the water just go straight out to the ground. And you have your pass-through storage compartment beside. They are rotocast compartments. It's a plastic fiberglass material. They are rinsable. There's little black drain ports as well. Okay, so then the outside kitchen. Here. So we have a drawer here, the sink, the induction cooktop. It is electric. You'll have to get the cord out from underneath and plug it in underneath the cabinet there. It does have a little frying pan that comes with it. Okay. There's some storage behind the TV. It's 12 volt and the 12 volt fridge. So as you can see, the black cable housing there, it is a 12 volt cable. So the blind spot radar system is that black triangle at the bottom of the unit. So that will tell you if someone is in your blind spot. It will light up on the pillars inside the cab and alarm if someone's, if you have your blinker on and someone is in that area as well. So the ladder has a little weight limit on it there. The propane connection there, the blue cap, is for a propane appliance. So you can plug in a barbecue or other propane accessory. It's a 7,500 pound tow hitch with the 7-pin connector beside. And the wide angle backup camera there. As for exterior maintenance, you'll want to wash the unit once a month or at the end of every trip. With this one, it is ideal not to use any brushes on the paint, and you want to check all the seals. So we check the seals twice a year, spring and fall usually. You want to go on the roof and inspect them all. Use self-leveling self-leveling sealant or a caulking. Okay. If there's any areas that look dry or cracked. So this is just the other side of that pass-through. We've got a coax cable inlet here, and then the 30 amp power supply. So there's just one little L-shaped piece that you want to watch for when you're plugging in the power cable. Okay, so your power cable is here, and then the 36 foot there. The other side of the airbag suspension. And then this temp station here, the sewer outlet, is just for the outside kitchen sink. So it has its own holding tank there. The regular black and gray tank outlets are here. So you have your black pull valve and the gray beside it. There's just a little light here. Your black tank flush. So if you have the black tank valve open, the way that the position it's in right now, with your sewer hose connected, you can put a water hose onto there and it will rinse out the tank. Beside it is the city water connection, so that's if the park that you go to, like you're hooked up to their water, that's surged water that doesn't use the water pump. And then the outside shower, so just the hot and cold shower knobs that you can use to rinse out your sewer hose or clean off any other appliances. So the driver's side has the gas fill, and then the freshwater fill is right here. So that's the water that you're going to be carrying around with you. And then you use the blue line with the valve on the other side to empty out that tank. there is a light up there, so that's called driver side rear light on the control panel, and so that you can use that light just to see down there if you're using the dump station at nighttime. Just so you can see, you'll just want to make sure that this compartment door here is closed before you open up the slide, just because it doesn't have quite enough room for clearance before it's opened. So make sure that's closed before you open the slide. The water heater is right here, so you turn it on and off from inside. I'll show you that on the control panel. If you're winterizing, it does have a little cap to remove inside there, and there's some instructions inside the panel door. Let's get some more storage here, smaller area, and the generator. So you have the other side camera and the exhaust. Let's just open this door. Alright, so you have the rocker switch for the generator power. So you always press and hold on the stop prime side for a few seconds or until the red light comes on, and then hold it on the start side for a few seconds. If it doesn't start up right away, you'll want to give it a minute break, come back to it and try it again. And it does have a little breaker switch down on the right side of the rocker switch. It's kind of just because it's dark, it's right there. And if you notice, the generator is running power, but not, it's operating, but it's not supplying power inside the unit. You want to come and check that breaker. The yellow cap is where the oil can be changed. It requires its first oil change at 50 hours, then at 100 hours, and every 100 hours following. And just inside the driver door, you have, again, the tire pressure information there. It comes with the mirror operation is here. So you'll want to flick this to one side and then press the arrow to adjust. The bottom mirror is a blind spot mirror, and it is manual only. And the red switch there that says on off is heat for the mirrors. So if you want to warm up and like defrost the mirrors, that's when you use that on off switch. So just quickly inside the cab, you have the headlights are on automatic right now. This is the little A inside the light. We have the seat operation here, your battery button. So that's the emergency start rocker switch there. So if your headlights or something like that has drained your chassis battery, you can use the house battery to start up the engine. So to do that, you'll want to go in the back, use the battery disconnect to turn it on, make sure that it has power, and you'll want to run the generator if the battery is low to let the batteries charge up. And then once you have enough battery power, you can come over here, press and hold this button down, while at the same time turning the key over, and then release once the engine has started up. Okay, see the swivel base there, and we'll come back around inside. So back at the entry door, I forgot to mention the battery power here. So it's on the on position right now, and then there's off, and underneath it is a charge position. So when you're using the motorhome, you'll want to have it in on. When you're storing the motorhome, you want to have it in off. And when you can use the charge button at the bottom, if you are just wanting to charge up the batteries but not use them. So you want to enable the solar panel to charge, but you're not using the lights or anything. The two house batteries are in the step. There. And then just keep that shut. There is a breaker fuse panel down in the bottom as well. So I'm going to run the jacks. So I've closed the compartment doors. The one behind the tires there is one that's important to have shut when the jacks are being retracted. So it's a good practice just to have the compartment doors shut when you're using the leveling jacks. So you want to check underneath first to make sure that nothing's in the way. Okay. So then we're going to press power. And if one of the lights come on, you have to do that to clear it. So if it was low voltage, you'd have to run the generator. Excess slope, you have to move to another position. Ignition on, take the key out of the ignition, and engage parking brake, it's already on. Alright, so you can press auto level at this time, or you can use manual, so I'm just going to do that for this example. These two red lights are both the front jacks, like indicating both the front jacks are going down. And I'm just going to feel a little touch. Okay, and back. Take a look. Okay, to the front, to the back. So you can leave the jacks down and then put the slides out. In this case, we're pretty level here, so we don't need to do that. So the 4 lights are to say that all 4 jacks are down. And then if we press this, we're gonna feel the movement back up. Okay, and just wait for the red light there. So the operating light has gone off, and then it's good practice just to go out and check that the jacks did fully retract before you start driving. And again, it does have an app there you can use to operate the jacks if you'd like. Okay, so we're going to go turn the ignition on, turn to accessory mode, and we will operate the slide outs. So this is with the slides in. Just a quick peek. Okay, so just set the parking brake on, so that's a little explanation point there. And we'll do the slides. So slide out, it's for the living room. And again, before you open up the slides, you want to make sure that the area is clear, so there's no trees or anything like that. Opposite, when you bring the slide in, you want to make sure that the floor is clean, that there's no debris underneath there. So then let go when the wall meets the trim, you hear the clutch. And for the bedroom, the slide button is down here. And the compartment doors are all shut outside. Okay, there we go. So the control panel is right at the entry door. So it has the level indicators here. So propane is first, it's full. Battery is currently at 2/3. Fresh, black, gray, and galley are all empty because the unit is winterized. Generators at 1.3 hours, so that's just to make sure that everything was running properly on it. I can start it up outside or if the shop door is open. We just don't want to have exhaust in an enclosed space. The water heater is electric or propane or a combination of the two. If you have both available, that's how you're going to get the fastest hot water. So either way. The water pump, it runs on 12 volt. Do not run that while the vehicle is in motion. The Arctic package, there are 12 volt heating pads on the holding tank so that you turn them on below 10 degrees Celsius. They're rated for -10, but it depends on how comfortable you feel. They're automatic, they'll turn on when they need to and off once they have warmed up. You have the light switches for in the living room and kitchen, the slide out for the living room control, and then the driver's side rear light. So that's that light outside over the dump station. In the kitchen, first thing is the fridge. It has a travel lock on it, so right now the doors cannot open when you're driving. So you just turn it to the side, And you can also use this as a feature to keep the doors open when you're trying to defrost the fridge. Okay, or just leave it off to the side. The controls for the fridge are in the top middle. They're solid, but recording it shows flashing. Press on and off there, that's your power button, hold for 10 seconds. So it runs on 12-volt power, it's automatically going to turn on. You have to press and hold it if you don't want the fridge to be running. It has the temperature settings from 1 to 5. And the freezer is just cold and colder in the back there. Pantry. Your countertop extension. This is if your phone can wirelessly charge. That's 12-volt powered. Okay, you have your back end of the water heater there with the 4 screws. The stove glass cover, you want to have that back before you start cooking on the stove. Okay. It's a good idea to tell any guests if you have them come over. Alright, so it's just get your light switches there. So you'll press and hold on to high while at the same time turning the sparker knob here. So it'll take a few tries if it's been a while. Oops, there we go. The convection microwave oven is underneath, so you'll want to press the the temperature setting, and then press convection if you're using it as an oven. And the fantastic fan is what you'll want to use as your exhaust. So use the knob there to open and close the lid, and then the power buttons there for the fan speed settings. Okay, the power recliners, there's just the up and down arrows from here. Same thing on the side. Just some space here. Alright, that's as far as it will go. The dinette drawer has all of the manuals. This has the owner's manual and the USB stick. This is all the paper manuals. We have the privacy curtain, so this is Velcro. There's little black dots on the bunk area, and that's where the privacy curtain will hook onto. Here, there's a wrench and for water filter, so that goes in the plastic housing in the compartment outside with the antifreeze that's currently in it. Okay. That's everything in there. These are the manuals. They'll be inside the Black Forest River pack. This is a USB stick with manuals on the computer, and TV and radio remotes. So you have a inside TV remote and outside TV remote. Either way, they can be interchangeable. This is the remote for the dash stereo, and this is the stereo remote for the living room and outside speakers. So A is like the kitchen speakers there, and B is above us here. And C is outside. Oops. Sorry, pressed B again. C. Okay, so this stereo, you can use USB, auxiliary, or Bluetooth with it. There is an HDMI and coax cable as well as power outlet, and this little cubby here, it's got a ledge on it. You can put a Blu-ray player, PVR for a satellite, anything like that, and it's already wired to the HDMI of the TV. There is a little coax cable in this cabinet here. That is the power supply for the TV antenna. If that little button gets pressed, it turns off the power supply and you won't get any channels. You can turn that off if you are trying to conserve battery. So the TVs, to scan for channels, you'll need to go to menu, channel, scan for channels, say yes, I have that written out in paper. So you have to do that every time you move to a new location. Right, and another thing I forgot there was the carbon monoxide detector. So it's just that little black oval down in the bottom corner. It will alarm if the battery level has gone below a third, because it's not sure if there's something to panic about. So just quickly in the bedroom here, so this is another 12-volt TV, so that remote works for it as well. Storage behind it, and the buttons to use it. There. And just make sure that it's clipped in before you drive. Alright. So you have outlets and USB ports on both sides of the bed. Little touch lights above the bed there. We got a roof vent, storage like wardrobe cabinets. They are lit. Okay, the pillows and blanket. There's a breaker and fuse panel at the foot of the bed right there. The furnace ducts. Light switches here. This is the thermostat for the AC and furnace. So it has a purple power button. We can put it on to heat. That's how we're going to get furnace. And the fan speed setting is best on auto. So for the furnace, if you have it on high, medium, or low, you'll get the AC fan running at the same time. So the idea is to help cycle air, but oftentimes it seems very cool and counterintuitive. So you can set the temperature there, and so the fan would go through the ceiling. So yeah, they do require the 30 amp power, so you need the generator running or to be plugged into 30 amp power supply. These timer and sleep functions are basically the same thing, so you can set the temperature for nighttime. Okay. This little peg is just for the privacy curtain to pull across. Your bathroom has the magnet. The GFI for all of the outlets is in the bathroom. A simple foot flush toilet. You have your faucet and just light switches and for the fan. And the shower. Make sure that it's locked before you drive. Skylight. For the AC vents, they do have a little arrow on them. There. So you want to use that to open and close the vents. You can spin them as well. It's just kind of a gentle spin. Alright. So then in the cab, first you have the swivel seat, so for the driver's seat, so the yellow boot there, you want to pull that to unlock, and then pull the seat on a 45-degree angle towards the living room, and then the chair will turn from there, if that makes sense. And just sitting in the cab, and turn the key back to accessory mode. Okay. So 425 miles there. Oh, just gonna turn the key. Here we go, and then we did get the kilometer speedometer. We're lucky with that. You see climate controls, so you just turn that off. Your yield flashers, the Type-C and USB chargers, traction control off if you needed to for some reason, a 12-volt port there, and a USB port. Okay, right now it's defaulting to the backup camera. So you have your radio function. You can set the tuner and then press and hold to save that. So I'm going to go back home. Sirius XM. So the radio interface is ready for Sirius XM, but you would need a tuner and antenna installed. It does have Bluetooth as well, so you can connect your phone for music. If you have the Sirius XM app with Sirius Radio, you can listen to it that way instead. And then the phone, so you can use the microphone up in the top corner for phone calls. And then you can select this to see the backup camera. Okay. And just quickly, USB if you had something plugged in down there, and like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, that will connect that way, and then the settings. I'm just going to turn the blinker on. So we've got down on one side, that's underneath the living room slide. And then we do see that the entry door is opened there. Okay. The blind spot radars are these little buttons there. They will light up if someone's beside you and beep if your blinker's on at the same time. Okay. And just simple cruise control on the steering wheel. We're going to run the generator outside so that you can hear it running. Okay, so the generator, we're going to press and hold on the stop prime side until this red light turns on, and then we will press and hold to start. The generator power will be transferred when the light turns on there. And just turn on the AC. So we just heard the generator kick over with a load. And blast cool. Okay, and the furnace requires the 12-volt system to be on and the propane open. Just turned the setting up. And now here it's starting to kick over. If you have any questions about your Sunseeker, just reach out and let us know.